Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the new Millennial Conservative Resistance does indeed begin right here, right now, with you. You were listening to, and I hope you're watching, the Holonet on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50 Radio. Today, it is Saturday. It is September 11th, 2021, in the year of our Lord. Folks, I don't talk about it much. Talk about it about once a year, actually. I grew up in a small town, about 15 minutes as the bird flies from the World Trade Center 1 and 2, a town called Carteret, New Jersey. Population approximately 27,000, 4.5 square miles. Classic, blue-collar, Rust Belt, Central Jersey town, right across the river from Staten Island. Right across the river, in fact, from the Fresh Kills landfill, where so many victims from 9/11 are in their final repose. And folks, I don't talk about it because it's difficult. My voice is going to get a little a little difficult at some points here, so I apologize. I went audio only today, very much on purpose, because I'm going to struggle through this a little bit. Before we do go any further, I want to thank our fantastic sponsors at American Pride Roasters, AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Make sure you hit them up, hit up DM at DM, let them know you want that Holonet fuel. American Pride Roasters, the official coffee of Mojo 50. But back to more serious things. In the next room right now, my wife is showing my children the September 11th historical documentation, the documentary. And I'm not in there right now because I wanted to make sure that we observed this day together, that we discussed this day, because it is absolutely crucial that we never forget for a moment what was taken from this nation on September 11th, 2001, 20 years ago. And you hear him in the next room. But folks, it's difficult to look back 20 years ago at the deaths of 3,000 Americans, 3 of whom were from my hometown, and not be filled with a lot of emotion. So, what I'm going to do today, for the first half of the show, is I'm going to run some video and some documentation that will absolutely get me crap canned copyright-wise, but you know, given the situation, I'm just going to do it. But yeah, it needs to be done. So yeah, just all right. So, going to go ahead and go to some video here. We're going to start with some archived CBS News footage from the initial report on September 11th when the first tower was hit. Go to that right now.
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We don't know if it was a private aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now. We have, I understand, an eyewitness on the phone right now. Sir, good morning. This is Bryant Gumbel. Could you give us your name?
Yeah, my name is Stuart.
Stuart, where are you right now?
I'm working at a restaurant in Soho.
All right, so tell us what you saw, if you would.
I was waiting at a table and I literally saw it seemed to be like a small plane. I just heard a couple noises. It looked like it bounced off the building, and then I just saw a huge, like, ball of fire on top, and then the smoke seemed to simmer down, and it just, a lot of smoke was coming out, and that's pretty much the extent of what I saw.
Can you tell us about the scene down there right now?
Right now, people are just on the street looking at the building. The building, there's just a lot of smoke. It's not too crazy down where I am.
How far away from the World Trade Center specifically are you?
I'm actually on Thompson Street North. I'm not too far.
It's 8:54 right now, Stuart. Can you tell me when this happened exactly?
I would have to say about 10 minutes ago.
Were you looking up as the plane approached the building, or did it only catch your attention after it crashed into the World Trade Center?
I heard
For the record, the first aircraft struck the World Trade Center tower, the North Tower. That would be Flight 11. Struck it at 8:46 a.m. 5 hijackers crashed American Airlines Flight 11 into floors 93 through 99 of One World Trade Center, the North Tower. 76 passengers and 11 crew members on board and hundreds inside the building were killed instantly. And the damage from the crash severed all 3 of the emergency stairwells and trapped hundreds of people above the 91st floor, hopelessly.
like a sort of a crashing sound, but I looked up quick enough to actually see something go into the building, but everything happened so fast I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at.
So there's no way you can know whether or not the plane seemed to be in trouble before it crashed into the building?
Oh, no, I couldn't tell.
It's hard for us to tell from the picture.
I'm going to pot down Bryant Gumbel a little bit and kind of give you my perspective here. I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school on this day, 20 years ago. I was a writer and on the editorial board of the high school newspaper, the Ann Scott News of Carteret High. And I want to give you some context here, because when I tell people, you know, I'm from Jersey, it's right over the river. Let's see here. I just want to give you some kind of an idea here. And, you know, everybody can use Google Maps, sure, but I just want to show you. This is Carteret, New Jersey. This is the town where I grew up. All right, and this right here. Come on, Google. Come on, Google. Google. Okay, here we go. This is satellite image of Carteret, New Jersey. This is my high school. Waiting for it to de-blur. There we go. This is Carteret High School. It was built in the early 1900s. And the room I was standing in was right about here. I'm just going to do a pin drop right here. Measure distance from there. So I was looking out the windows facing northeast from the Ann Scott newsroom. That's Bayonne. Here's New York. See, didn't take long at all. Distance to there, 14.47 miles, as the crow flies. That is where I was. That's where I grew up. That's Carteret, New Jersey, to the World Trade Center, right there. All right. I just wanted to provide you guys with some context to say that we heard the sounds. We heard the boom. And we didn't have, like, it wasn't a CBS newsroom, of course, or anything like that, but we had 2 banks of computers in the room that we used for the newspaper to lay out the yearbook and all that. And they had, because you do when you're learning how to cover news in your journalism class, they had all the AP Newswire and Reuters and alerts and things. It wasn't like today with your cell phone, where you have all these news apps on my phone. My phone won't shut up. My wife gets pissed off at it, because every couple of minutes I get a news bulletin. But every single computer in the room started alarming at the same time, the same second, because all the news wires had picked up the story. And our principal got on the PA and told us what was happening. And I wish that I had my tape recorder in my hand and I recorded what he said, because I would play it for you today. But that was Principal Dennis W. Siddons of Carteret High School, class of 04, Mr. Siddons. So when all this happened, we can see it on the screens. We had televisions that were hooked up to the PA system. It was a school video system where we had like school-specific programming. We saw the schedule for the day, lunch menu, and all that. And they all flipped from the principal's office. They flipped them all to the local news, and we were watching this in real time. And then looking out the window and seeing the plume of smoke coming up from Lower Manhattan, and knowing that a lot of us had family there. A lot of us had parents who worked in the city. Believe it or not, me and a buddy of mine, we worked in Manhattan for a summer job. We had a stupid gig. It was $200 a week. You know, why was I going to say no? And I got to explore Lower and Midtown Manhattan. Why not? We used to go to the subway stations. And in the subway stations at New York, you have stairs that lead down to the subway stations from the surface. And on top of each stairwell, it looked like an LED TV. You see them all the time now. It was an electronic billboard. Okay, it was from Clear Channel. And we, through my friend's father's contacts, we got this little side gig, right, where we would drive through New York, because my buddy just got his license. First, we'd ride the subways, because we were geniuses. But then we would drive. And we'd go to each of these subway stations and we'd take a picture of the sign, because they were LED signs. And we'd tell them which ones were broken, which ones had dead pixels, which one had a quadrant out or something like that, so that they could send the repair team. Why? Because it was a hell of a lot cheaper to pay two teenagers to drive around and do that than it was to pay a union team to visit every single sign that they didn't have to. So we were able to help them narrow down their repair efforts. But long story short, I know, too late. We worked in Manhattan as teenagers. And one of the signs that I checked every week was in the World Trade Center Plaza. I had been there the day before. The morning before September 11th. And the only reason I wasn't there that day is because school had started. Because we used to, in the summer, we went on Mondays. Why you go on Mondays? Because the traffic isn't that bad. Everybody isn't trying to get in and out of the city for their weekend plans. So we used to go on Mondays. But we switched to Sundays because of school. So I had been there on Sunday. And that's never gotten out of my mind. And it was a month or two before I went and saw what was left of that sign above the subway station at World Trade Center Plaza. And that messed with me. That messed with my head. But I digress. So I'm standing in the Carteret High School Anscott newsroom, and I'm seeing this out the window. And my apologies if my accent comes back. It usually does when I put myself back in that mind space. And sorry you can hear the people in my house, because I got company over today. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to the audio from CBS, and we'll check that out.
Was at work, because if that building was in fact crowded with workers, we're looking at probably some casualties and injuries of considerable proportions. But right now there's no way of telling that. We're on the line with another eyewitness. Sir, this is Bryant Gumbel in New York.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. You're Wendell?
Yes, I am.
Wendell, can you give me your last name?
Klein.
Wendell Klein.
All right, I'm going to advance the time frame a little bit to the impact of the second flight on the South Tower. Now, this is minutes later, about 15 minutes later, 9:03 a.m., and the South Tower is hit.
Enough to damage cars on the street, make cars swerve into each other, that kind of thing.
I hear alarms going off down there. What's happening?
That's our hotel alarm, and basically, I guess that went off automatically. They've evacuated everyone in the hotel. They evacuated all employees.
They have evacuated the hotel?
Yes.
Immediately?
Yes.
Are you hearing anything, Wendell, about what kind of a plane it was or how many were on board?
No.
All right. Mr. Klein, thank you very much, sir. I understand Teresa Renault is with us right now. Ms. Renault, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
This is Bryant Gumbel. I'm down on 59th and 5th. Where are you?
I am in Chelsea, and we are at 8th and 16th. We are the tallest building in the area, and my window faces south, so it looks directly onto the World Trade Center. And I would say, approximately 10 minutes ago, there was a major explosion from probably, it looks like about the 80th floor. It looks like it's affected probably 4 to 8 floors. Major flames are coming out of if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh, my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower?
Yes. Yes. Right in the middle of the building. And right now, that was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
Why do you say that was definitely on purpose?
Because it just flew straight into it. Looks like it's about, I would say 15 floors lower than the first building, and there's now flames coming out of that building as well. They're both completely on fire.
Now, Teresa, hang on with us 1 second. We're going to re-rack the tape of when we were talking to you to see if we...
Flight 175 crashed into floors 77 through 85 of number 2 World Trade Center South Tower, killing the 51 passengers and 9 crew members aboard, and an unknown number of people inside the building. And go to some additional video of that impact. Shortly afterward, probably the worst scenes. And just to give you context, at this point we knew we were under attack. We knew that we were at war. We knew that someone did this deliberately, that people were trying to kill us, that people were trying to attack the United States of America, that these aircraft were being used as weapons. So go to that.
That there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
My God.
That looks like a second plane.
Terrible.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted
arriving at the scene. Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness,
oh God,
there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
It seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just...
Okay.
Where do you get your knowledge from? How much time do you have in a pilot?
Oh, there's another...
Oh no, okay.
Explosion.
Explosions, multiple explosions, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw another explosion. Obviously...
We're just watching it again. It's the first time. This is
the other tower, ladies and gentlemen. Another explosion at tower number 2 of the World Trade Center just happened live on our air.
You're over in Chelsea. Did you hear the explosion from your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh my gosh! Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God! It's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower.
Yes. Yes. Right in the middle of the building. And right now, that was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a
Yes,
plane?
I just saw a plane go into the building.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd say the whole takes about, looks like 6, 7 floors were taken out. And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll tell you what's going on.
Okay, just put Winston on pause there for just a moment.
Okay, the whole building just exploded some more. The whole top part.
Okay.
The building's still intact. People are running up the streets. Am I still connected?
Winston, this would support probably what Libby and you both said, that perhaps the fuselage was in the building that would cause a second explosion such as that.
That's what just happened then.
That certainly.
Yeah, people are running up.
We're getting word that perhaps.
Okay, hold on. The people here everybody's panicking.
All right, Winston, let me put Winston on hold for just a moment.
Okay, I don't know how much longer we're staying. I'm inside of a diner right now.
Well, Winston, you know what? If you could give us a call back, I just don't want to panic here on the air. Let's just take some of our pictures from News Chopper 7. Now,
taken out of the building. You say that emergency vehicles are there, understandably so, but of course the major concern is human loss. I mean, do you know if there were many people in the building?
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on the shot.
Oh my!
Something else has
You know what? We just saw a plane circling the building.
It is in the other building.
We just saw a plane circling the building a second ago on the shot right before
I
that.
think there may have been another impact. Can you tell? I just heard another very loud bang, and a very large plane that might have been a DC-9 or a 747 just flew past my window, and I think it may have hit the Trade Center again.
To be honest, Elliot, I didn't get the impression that it was that big a plane.
It looks big from here.
I did see a plane go by a second ago, though, and it has now impacted the building. I'm trying to see if it's the different tower.
I think it may have been. I believe the first one was World Trade Center 1, and it looks, from what I'm seeing on the television, like it may have been the second building.
This is a piece of tape, and we may actually see another plane enter the picture here in a second.
I wonder if there are air traffic control problems.
Let's go back to Jennifer Oberstein, who was talking to a second ago. Jennifer, did you see this happen?
Hello?
Did you just see this happen, Jennifer?
Matt, I've never seen any. It looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet, going immediately headed directly into the World Trade Center. It just flew into it, into the other tower, coming from south to north. I watched the plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
This is so shocking, of course, to everybody watching.
Clouds and smoke billowing.
We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back to some of the footage of the collapses of the World Trade Center towers. And unfortunately, there's not enough I can say. And really, this was the best way I could think of to commemorate and to remember the people who were lost 20 years ago today, was to take you back through the video and the audio and the experience and my experience from my point of view. And I hope I'm doing it justice here on Mojo 50 Radio. This is Matt Holloway with the HoloNet. Taking a quick break. Stick around.
Radio. The millennial conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
And we're back. You're listening to HoloNet on the Mighty Powerful Mojo 50 Radio. I am your host, Matt Holloway. Real quick, just want to put a shout out to the HoloNet supporters, HoloNet operatives, and fans and listeners, and let them know that anybody's having a hard time out there today. Definitely, my heart goes out to you. Much love and respect. It's a tough day. It's a bad day for a lot of people. And a lot of people, it's a bad day for different reasons. Some people are just having a rough time in their life. I know I wanted to lift up a friend in prayer, friend Sarah, who has been battling the Rona and having some domestic issues as well. Just let you know we're thinking on you. And just thank our great supporters, Jen, Donna Renee, just all of you, thank you very much for following the HoloNet, for sticking with me this long, and hearing my Power Rangers ringtone. That's fantastic. And it's an 800 number. Hang on, I'm going to do this live on air. Hang on. Hello?
Hi there. This is Jessica calling you from AT&T DirecTV. How are you doing today?
You're calling me during a radio show.
Well, DirecTV is offering 50% discount to all its existing customers.
No kidding.
Do you have a moment to speak so I can go ahead and apply discounts on your account?
I don't have an AT&T account.
Let me just transfer your call. Your patience will be highly appreciated.
Bite me.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's during my show. And boo on me for not having my phone on silent. So, sorry, guys. But how about that Power Rangers ringtone? It's a rough day. It's a really bad day. But as far as how rough it is on me, that's nothing. It's nothing compared to the people who lost family and friends and loved ones 20 years ago today, for the people who will never come home, for the people who subsequently lost family members in the war on terror, and for people who are feeling it very keenly that this current administration cast all of that to the wind because they wanted to have a photo op today, because they wanted to have America's withdrawal from Afghanistan line up with the 20th anniversary of 9/11. You unbelievable f***ing suckers. But today's not about that. Today's not about that. Today's not about Joe Biden trying to ram a vaccine mandate down the American people's throats that more and more Republican governors are resisting. And I encourage you to do what you think is best and to bow to no one. Bow to no one. Remember that we are Americans. Remember that we have our freedom. And now, just real quick, before we get back into the footage from September 11th. And again, my apologies for the background noise today. Before we get back to the footage, please do help support Mojo 50. If you have the wherewithal and the ability to do so, you can shop with our friends over at MyPillow. Use your promo code Mojo50. And they can get you fantastic discounts on your bedding supplies. I need to buy more Giza Dream Sheets for the kids and another set for me, because we tried Giza Dream Sheets tonight. I'm sorry, we switched back from Giza Dream Sheets to the normal ones, and I can tell the difference. So yeah, there's that. So we're going to get back to the footage now, the compilation footage of the September 11th attacks, and we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit to the collapse of World Trade Center 1, the South Tower.
World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way!
I want to stress that when that tower came down, there were still hundreds of people, potentially thousands of people, still inside. The collapse of the South Tower took place at 9:59 a.m. Just minutes before that, the Pentagon was attacked at 9:37 a.m. as Flight 77 slammed into the Pentagon, killing the 53 passengers and 6 crew members, and the crash and ensuing fire killing 125 military and civilian personnel on the ground. And then this scene, just minutes later, as the South Tower collapsed to the ground, leaving hundreds upon hundreds of people fleeing, terrified, running uptown. And I know that street. I've been on it 100 times. This footage from ABC. Now I'll go back to the aerial footage.
Another plane enter the picture here in a second.
I wonder if there are air traffic control problems.
Let's go back to Jennifer Oberstein, who was talking to a second ago. Jennifer, did you see this happen?
Hello?
Did you just see this happen, Jennifer?
Matt, I've never seen any. It looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet, going immediately headed directly into the World Trade Center.
Alert. The FBI extremely concerned that there would be additional attacks. Normally when you have a situation like this, they immediately get on the line with the CIA, the various intelligence agencies, trying to get a sense of who might have been planning something. But right now, the first order of business is to protect against a second attack, third attack. The feeling is normally when you have this kind of situation, there will be more attacks almost immediately.
Let's go to the trade tower again, because, John, we now have a... What do we have? We don't...
It looks like a new plume, a new large plume of smoke.
No, it may be that something fell off the building. It may be that something has fallen. We don't know, to be perfectly honest. But that is what you're looking at, is the current. That's the scene at this moment at the World Trade Center. Dan Daler from ABC's Good Morning America is down in the general vicinity. Dan, can you tell us what has just happened?
Yes, Peter, it's Don Daler down here. I'm 4 blocks north of the World Trade Center. The second building that was hit by the plane has just completely collapsed. The entire building has just collapsed, as if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down on itself, and it is not there anymore.
That should be it.
It
Thanks
has
very much,
completely
Dan.
collapsed.
The whole side has collapsed?
The whole building has collapsed.
The whole building has collapsed?
The building has collapsed.
That's the southern tower you're talking
Exactly. The second building that we witnessed the airplane.
World has been immobilized.
You can just hear the disbelief. Because I mean, it's like watching one of the pillars of the earth fall.
near the White House, and one can only wonder if that was something that ultimately ended up in the Pentagon.
We just saw a live picture of what seemed to be a portion of the building falling away from the World Trade Center. If we can re-rack that to about 20 seconds ago, you'll see something dramatic happening, and I don't know whether it's another explosion or a portion of the building falling away.
The next thing I know, there was this tremendous explosion as it hit the Pentagon. I looked over, and the smoke started coming up. Pieces of the plane and pieces of the Pentagon were falling onto the 14th Street, onto the Shirley Highway. Very scary. So I did.
Crossing to the World Trade Center in New York, just a moment or two ago, we saw the Twin Tower. It's some 110 stories high. It's starting to fall apart. There's no other way of expressing what's happening. As you can see these pictures.
Not only to tell people to keep some distance from the building, but to take immediate cover.
Can you tell me a little bit more? Well, actually, let's look at these live pictures at the World Trade Center. The other tower of the World Trade Center has just collapsed. You are looking at live pictures of the second Twin Tower at the World Trade Center collapsing as a result of the crash of an airplane into its side. That, I believe, was the first tower that was struck this morning.
But I suspect that there's a little tiny bit of panic creeping in here, and people are reporting bangs as explosions. There's no confirmation of other explosions, but certainly every government building in Washington has been closed, and the staff of these buildings have been told, look, go home. It doesn't matter how you get home, just go home. Try not to use cars because the roads are totally blocked, but go home, get away. And of course that's causing a considerable amount of confusion, not to say panic here.
Bear with us one second, Keith Graves. We're taking live pictures from our colleagues at Fox News in New York. We know that one of the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center in New York collapsed a short time ago. Some 25,000 people work inside that building. You just saw live here on Sky News. The second tower has collapsed. The second tower has collapsed.
And that was at 10:28 a.m., the collapse of the North Tower. Not long before that, there had been an emergency call from Flight 93. Flight 93, which would crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Let me see if I'm getting that time frame right, because I know it's a little bit tricky. Yeah, and Flight 93 then crashed outside Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. 10:15 a.m. shortly before that, the E ring or echo ring of the Pentagon collapsed, the outer ring. And you know, you have the photo of the falling man on the screen right now, and this day, it's a terrible day. It's a terrible day for the American people. But we have to look back and we have to remember. We have to remember and we have to cast our eyes clearly to these images and steel our resolve. That 20 years ago our nation was attacked because we are and always have been the beacon of freedom in this world. We were attacked because there are people out there who find, I use the term people loosely, people who find everything that is the United States of America, our tolerance of different faiths, our religion, our individual liberties, our individual freedoms, our freedom of speech, of the press, of expression, of media. They find them repugnant, repulsive, unacceptable, an affront to their faith and their God. They find us to be the single greatest embodiment of evil in the history of mankind, just as we find them. And it is these same men, these evil men, these black-hearted men, these men with no souls, who have been placed into positions of power within the government of Afghanistan just days ago. Members of Al-Qaeda. And I'm not talking about little guys. I'm not talking about, you know, he was a gun runner in Iraq. No, we're talking about men who were involved on a strategic, operational level of planning this attack. Were released from Guantanamo Bay in exchange for Bowe Bergdahl. Okay? And are presently, today, sitting in positions of power and privilege in Afghanistan. It's hard to believe. But it's every bit true. Fact is this. The Daily Mail has reported 4 top members of the Taliban's new interim government are former Guantanamo Bay prisoners who were freed under the Obama administration in a prisoner exchange for U.S. Army deserter Bowe Bergdahl. The 4 new officials were members of the hardline Guantanamo 5, who were traded to free Bergdahl from the Taliban-aligned Haqqani network in 2014. The Taliban on Tuesday announced the appointment of Acting Director of Intelligence Abdul Haq Wasiq, Acting Minister of Borders and Tribal Affairs Nurullah Nouri, Deputy Defense Minister Mohammad Fazi, and Acting Minister of Information and Culture Khairullah Karkar. The 4 men, who also took part in direct negotiations with the U.S. at the Doha summit last year, spent 13 years in the military prison camp before they were freed in trade for the admitted deserter who was captured by insurgents after wandering off his post. Okay. House Representatives report said at least 3 of the 5 Taliban leaders have tried to plug back into their old terror network. You think so? Do you really? They seem to be pretty damn plugged into me. Breitbart noted, if the Taliban 5 leave or have already left Qatar, it is virtually no measure in place to track the former Gitmo detainees or prevent them from re-emerging on the battlefield. And so they have. It's important to look back at this footage and remember it. And remember the some 3,000 men and women. Some children, too. People forget there were kids on those flights. As young as 3. There were kids on those planes. Their last minutes were spent screaming in terror before dying in flames. This is what we have to remember, folks. It has been 20 years. And I will tell you this right now. I feel no safer now. No safer sitting here in the year 2021, 20 years later, than I did that day sitting in Carteret High School looking out the window as smoke, dust, and human effluence, because people were vaporized in that collapse and fire. Okay? And that smoke blew south and west. And for the entirety of my life, I will never forget that smell. And I feel no safer today. In fact, I may feel more in danger than ever. Because my government isn't after the people who did this anymore. If you believe the press conference earlier this week, my government is after me. And they're after you. It's important we take today to remember, a day of solemn remembrance, honor, and respect for those who were ripped from our world by the flames of hate. It's important that we remember who did it, who was responsible, and realize that they're in charge of a country now. It's not a powerful country. They don't have a Navy, an Air Force, or well, actually they have an Air Force now. They have some helicopters we left there. They don't have nuclear weapons or anything like that, no. But they proved 20 years ago that they didn't need them either. That they didn't need an army to reach us. That they didn't need a Navy to kill thousands of people. They didn't need an Air Force. They just needed enough men who were that correct blend of evil and insane, who were ready and willing to die to kill us. And today, they have a whole country as their playground. Do you feel safer today than you did 20 years ago? We said we'd never forget. Did we? Did we remember? Say a prayer tonight for the families who lost, for the souls of those departed, for our soldiers who lost so much on the battlefield, and for the ones who never came home. And say a prayer tonight for the future of our country. And pray that we don't see another attack like this that leaves another generation with a day that it hurts to remember. Next week will be a bit of a brighter show. I'm making that commitment to you right now. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, but it'll be a brighter show. I'll make it fun somehow. At least I'll make it informative. But we'll do better. Today needed to be done. And I didn't relish it. Hell, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't want to do it. It's like, no, last week I was messed up and didn't do a show. So I got to make sure I do one. And I have to make sure I do one for September 11th. Because the show lined up on the day. And you can't let that go by unnoticed. Unattended. I'm glad that we had this chance to talk today. And if you stuck around for the whole show, God bless you. It was rough. But know that I appreciate you and everything that you do to support Mojo 50, to support the HoloNet, to support me. If you want to continue supporting the show, you can find us on Patreon, on Subscribestar. You can also go to preparewithmojo50.com, preparewithmojo50.com. It's all about preparedness and not panic, so that should we see another horrific event, that you are ready to be a lifeboat for yourself and for others. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Prepare yourself for all eventualities, because we don't know what's coming. It's hard to say. And it's even harder to think about. Keep your heads on a swivel, kids. Gets bumpy from here. Just to let you know, I do have the HoloNet Premiere. If you would like to join the HoloNet Premiere, it's $10 a month. You can do that on our Patreon or on our Subscribestar, and that sends the HoloNet Premium Digest to your email every day. That's all the stories that I wrote the day before, and it will keep you up to date on everything that's going on in the world across the multiple websites and properties that I write for. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you've given me so far and for continuing to do so. Remember 9/11. Never forget. Never, ever forget. And also, never surrender. If you haven't done it yet, by the way, I strongly recommend checking out timeline.911memorial.org. It's difficult to get through, but it is a fantastic account. It's at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. It's a great educational tool if you want to teach your children, your older children, I hope, about what happened that day. And it is important that we teach the next generation, and that you see the names of the 2,983 men, women, and children who were killed that day. And remember them. So that's it for the HoloNet tonight. Good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. From Phoenix, Arizona. End transmission.